The Kansas City Chiefs once again take down the Buffalo Bills in the postseason. I don't know what it is with the Buffalo Bills every time they play Kansas City in the playoffs, but they just can't find a way to knock this team off. And this was probably the best game that I've seen the Bills play in the playoffs against Patrick Mahomes, and they still couldn't get it done. Like, this game was too perfect for the Buffalo Bills to lose, but some way, somehow, they found the way to throw it away. And I knew the Bills were going to lose this game once I saw Sean McDermott attempt that fake punt. Like, what the hell were you doing? If you're going to go for it on 4th and 5, then keep Josh Allen on the damn field, man. Like, why would you go for it, but not do it with your best player on the field? That made no sense to me. Josh Allen was balling. He was playing an incredible game. It made no sense to go for it in that situation without him being on the field. That was stupid. And luckily enough, the Buffalo Bills still had a chance to win the game because Mecole Hardman fumbled the ball in the back of the end zone. It got called for a touchback, and they got new life. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, Buffalo got bailed out from a dumbass decision by Sean McDermott. What are they going to do with it? Nothing. Because guess what they proceed to do after they get a second chance of life? Oh, they go 3 and out. And then they find a way to get Kansas City in the third down situation, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, maybe the Buffalo Bills still do have a shot at winning this thing. And then they get a pass interference call, which gives Kansas City another first down. And at that point, you're pretty confident that Kansas City is going to win this game. But then Kansas City, they end up having to give the ball back to Buffalo because the Bills defense is able to stop Patrick Mahomes again on third down without any penalties this time. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, Josh Allen, okay, Buffalo, there's no way y'all gonna fumble away this opportunity. Y'all got 8 minutes left in the game. All y'all got to do is play keep away from Patrick Mahomes, go down the field, and score a touchdown. And if this game came down to a field goal to win, whichever team was going to be unfortunate enough to have to need a field goal to either win it or send it to overtime, they were going to lose. And that happened to be the Buffalo Bills. Like, I just don't get how you can put your faith in the kicker when you know what these kickers do when the game is on the line every single time. Every single time you got to rely on these kickers to win you a game in the postseason, they always fumble it. Like, look what happened to the Green Bay Packers Saturday against the 49ers. Hell, look what happened to the Buccaneers earlier today. For the life of me, it makes no sense why these coaches put their faith and their trust in these kickers, man. And Josh Allen played a fantastic game. Now, that touchdown that he tried to get when Stephon Diggs was open on that drag route late in the game, I don't have a problem with that. Chris Jones was raining in on him, and that's why he couldn't get it there. But if it wasn't for Chris Jones getting in the way of that pass, that would have been a touchdown. You look at Kansas City, and you got to give them a lot of credit for this win. You can't say, oh, the refs wanted Kansas City to win. None of that, because the Buffalo Bills had ample opportunities to win this game and to seal the deal, and they just couldn't take advantage of them. So miss me with the whole copium about the referees wanted the Kansas City Chiefs to win. That's bullshit. All right, just be honest about the game. The Buffalo Bills lost this thing because once again, in the fourth quarter, they couldn't get it done. Like, I get so tired of people always trying to put the blame on the referees, bro. Like, no, the referees are always going to make bad calls. They make bad calls in every single game. You went on pretty much an 8-minute drive. You keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. You got their defense exhausted. And the best you can do is get a field goal attempt out of it. Sean McDermott has to go. He has to go. Kansas City, I would never doubt Patrick Mahomes ever again. You know how people used to say, man, you can never count out Tom Brady because it's Brady? Well, you got to have that same philosophy when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. This Chiefs team that we saw in this game tonight was not the same team that we've seen all year long. Like, even against the Miami Dolphins, their offense didn't look as good as what they did tonight. I find it ironic how this offense struggled all season long, but as soon as they get to go on the road and play the Buffalo Bills, because, you know, Mahomes, he's never played a road game in the playoffs, right? Well, I guess it didn't matter because Kansas City took that as motivation and they played their best game on offense that we've seen them play the whole entire year. And it's so ironic that it came against the Buffalo Bills. If you're a Bills fan, I got a lot of respect for you. If you wake up tomorrow and you still decide to rep your team, man, because if I was you right now, there's no way I would ever root for this team ever again. You can call me a bandwagon fan all you want to. I'm not a Bills fan. I'm a Steelers fan. So trust me, we going through some hard times, but I feel really bad for y'all because it sucks to get to the playoffs and get knocked out in the wild card round every year. But it's another thing. It's a different pain to support a team that just some way, somehow finds ways to blow championship opportunities. Every year, the Buffalo Bills have a good enough team to win the Super Bowl. They got one of the most talented quarterbacks that ever played this game in Josh Allen. The dude is a freaking freak. And the Bills still can't get over the hump. Like, what is it going to take? Hell, let's go even further back. In the days of Jim Kelly, you went to 4 straight Super Bowls. Couldn't win any of them. I got a lot of respect for all the members of Bills Mafia, man, because this franchise done put y'all through some bullshit. And tonight, if you decide to wake up and say you're no longer going to be a Bills fan, you should get a pass for that. Nobody should get upset with you about that or try to call you out on being a fake fan, because this organization has done an extreme disservice to their fan base by continuing to choke in the postseason year after year after year after year after year. Like, this game, with the way it started out, you felt in your soul that, yeah, this was it. This was finally going to be the chance that we can knock off Mahomes and go to the AFC Championship and possibly make it to the Super Bowl. But instead, you get your soul ripped out, not by Mahomes, but by your field goal kicker. Like, I'm still dumbfounded on the decision to go for that damn fake punt. I don't care about the numbers. It doesn't matter, bruh. If you're going to go for it on 4th down, with this big of stakes involved in a game like this, you keep your best player on the field. This is another example of why Sean McDermott has to go. Who cares if he makes it to the playoffs? Who cares if they're not that far away? He obviously isn't the dude to get them over the hump. Tony Dungy got fired for the same thing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You want to know something funny? As soon as they fired Tony Dungy and they traded for John Gruden, guess what they did? They won the Super Bowl. Hell, if you ask me, they should fire Sean McDermott and go after Bill Belichick or Mike Vrabel or Jim Harbaugh. Imagine if they could get Jim Harbaugh. There's no way they wouldn't be able to win a Super Bowl if they had Jim Harbaugh as their head coach. They just need some new blood in there at head coach, bro, because Sean McDermott, he's a good enough coach to get you to the playoffs, but he's not good enough to get you anywhere further. Eventually, you got to get tired of coming up short, and you got to look at yourself in the mirror, and you got to ask yourself, what changes needs to be made? And Sean McDermott has made all the changes possible to save his job. He got rid of his former offensive coordinator. Hell, he pretty much forced Leslie Frazier out the door. We thought that Leslie Frazier's defense was the problem, but obviously not. Because we saw this game, Sean McDermott's defense couldn't stop Mahomes damn near to save their life outside of, in the 4th quarter after they got that lucky fumble recovery thanks to Miko Hardman fumbling it in the back of the end zone for a touchback. But if it wasn't for that, that game or the game would have already been over once they scored that touchdown. All that did was prolong the inevitable. And it's just like when you saw them go for that fake punt, you knew Buffalo was going to lose despite how many chances they had at winning the game. Because that's just a stupid decision. And when you make stupid decisions and crucial moments like that, it just shows that you just don't have good decision making in high pressure situations. Hell, the first time they played this year in the regular season, they got lucky to win that game thanks to J.R. Toney lining up off sides. It's just, you got embarrassed by Buffalo a couple of years ago, and you just continue to get embarrassed by the Kansas City Chiefs. And I won't even say you get embarrassed by Kansas City. You embarrass yourself against Kansas City. Buffalo should have won this game. They should have. You can't put it on the refs. You can't put this loss on anybody but Sean McDermott. Josh Allen played his tail off in this game. This was the best game that I've ever seen Josh Allen play. He was laying it all on the field. He had no interceptions, no turnovers. Do you know how rare it is to watch a Josh Allen game where he commits 0 turnovers? You see, Josh Allen played his A++ game, but so did Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs offense. This offense was humming on all cylinders. I thought with them having to settle for field goals early, I was under the assumption that, okay, like Buffalo, their offense, they got more talent. They got a better offensive line. Kansas City, they're struggling to punch it in the end zone. They're going to win it. But no, just no. It just isn't meant for the Buffalo Bills to ever win a Super Bowl. This franchise must be cursed by something. I don't know what they did to upset the football gods, but they don't want you to win. They don't. I'm just so lost for words right now. What the hell we just witnessed? This game was chaotic. There were so many crazy penalties that Buffalo had called on them that allowed Kansas City to keep the drive alive. And yet they still find a way to get the ball back to Josh Allen and they do nothing with it. Like, they got that fumble and they went 3 now. Are you kidding me? Like, are you serious? But you can't take away how well Josh Allen played in this game. But Mahomes, he played well also. Neither one of these quarterbacks could have been stopped. And I was already knowing that once we got into the third quarter, with the way both of these two QBs were playing, that it was going to come down to whoever had the ball last. And with Josh Allen having the ball last, you would think that Buffalo was a guaranteed lock to win this game, but they weren't. Kansas City's defense stood up despite being on the field for damn near half of the fourth quarter. Their field goal kicker comes on the field, and as soon as they had to throw the field goal kicker out there, I knew it was wraps. I didn't even need to watch the final play. I just closed my eyes, and as soon as they said he missed it, I was like, of course he missed it, because that's what these kickers do best. Sean McDermott has to go, man. You can't keep this dude in Buffalo anymore. He's a good coach, but he's not a championship caliber coach. Just because you keep coming up short doesn't mean that eventually you're going to pull through. Andy Reid kept on coming up short with the Philadelphia Eagles. He never won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia. Sean McDermott, he's a good coach, but maybe it's just time for a change of scenery for him. Maybe he needs to go to a different team like the Washington Commanders or the Tennessee Titans and rebuild those teams. And eventually, if he can get them to a Super Bowl caliber level, try again with a different organization. But it's just not working in Buffalo. And he's gotten rid of his coordinators. You got rid of Leslie Frazier. You got rid of Ken Dorsey. And you still can't get over the hump. Hell yeah, you had hella injuries on defense, but so did Kansas City. So save me the excuses. I don't want to hear nothing about injuries. Every team in the playoffs has injuries, man. The 49ers beat the Green Bay Packers without Deebo Samuel. The Baltimore Ravens have been without Marlon Humphrey, Mark Andrews for different portions of this season, and neither one of those dudes suited up when they smashed the Houston Texans. You see, once you get into the postseason, man, it's not about who's more healthy. It's about who wants it more. It's about who can execute when the game is on the line, and time in and time out, every single time the Buffalo Bills get into the playoffs, they are never able to get it done when the game is in the balance. But the Chiefs always do for some reason. And it's really similar to the Tom Brady and Bill Belichick Patriots dynasty. The difference between the Patriots dynasty and everybody else in the NFL at that time during their run was just that it wasn't all because they had Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, but it also was because you had a team that knew how to elevate their game and knew how to come through when it mattered the most. Buffalo just doesn't have that. They don't have that DNA. They don't have that championship will. Because no matter what happened to Kansas City, they still weren't rattled. They still weren't making stupid decisions like Sean McDermott was with the fake punt. That was a panic move. He felt the momentum of the game starting to switch, and he didn't trust his defense, so he went for a stupid gamble, and it backfired miserably in his face. He was just fortunate enough that it didn't bite him in the rear end at that moment. Luckily enough, Mecole Hardman threw the ball up in the end zone, and it was a touchback. And then you're able to still get off the field despite the pass interference call. You get Mahomes another third down situation. You get the ball back to Josh Allen for one more drive, and you do everything that you possibly could to keep him off the field. And it worked well up until you weren't able to get the touchdown, and you had to settle for 3. Championship DNA, the Buffalo Bills don't have it. Sean McDermott has to go. If I'm the Buffalo Bills ownership right now, I'm livid. I'm pissed because there's no reason Buffalo should have lost this game. Buffalo had every opportunity to seal the deal, and they choked like they always do in the playoffs. This is embarrassing. You couldn't win with Jim Kelly, 4 straight Super Bowls, and you couldn't win 1? And I wasn't even alive back then, but just hearing about it just makes me upset, and I'm not even a Buffalo Bills fan. I got a lot of respect to the Bills Mafia out there. I really have a lot of respect for y'all. I'm not saying this to be funny, like genuinely, you guys have my respect because I don't know how you can continue to root for a team that rips your heart out like this. Every time you think you're going to come close to winning a championship, you think it's the year, this team just collapses when it matters the most. And it's not like you go out like how the Dallas Cowboys do. When the Cowboys go out bad in the playoffs, they get embarrassed. But in this game, you really would have thought that Buffalo was finally going to get it done. You really did. Even with the injuries that they had on defense. Like, this offense was balling. What the hell happened? Honestly. Like, if anybody thinks Sean McDermott should keep his job, I really got to question your decision-making if you were a general manager or owner and you continue to allow this to happen. You continue to be okay with, I'm not going to say mediocrity, but you're okay with coming in second and third place. I wanted to see Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson in the AFC Championship. You want to know why? Because we would have had an AFC Championship with 2 quarterbacks who are looking to break through, who are looking to get to not only their first Super Bowl, but also looking to capture their first Lombardi trophy and change the narrative about their careers. Do you know how career-changing a Super Bowl win would be for Josh Allen right now? And Lamar? Like, I believe Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow are just as good as Patrick Mahomes. Like, I don't believe Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, and then it's just everybody else. Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow are just as good as Patrick Mahomes, just in their own ways. Like, Josh Allen couldn't be stopped in this game up until it actually mattered, and they actually needed him to pull through and get him in the end zone to seal it. And I'm not going to put this loss all on him. But he does deserve a little bit of the blame despite how well he played. But mostly I'm putting the blame on Sean McDermott. I can't believe this shit, man. And what has me so upset, and you may be wondering, JT, why are you going so hard? Man, I had a 4-leg parlay. I had the Ravens -9. I had the Packers +10. I had the Detroit Lions -6.5. All I needed was for Buffalo to win. I had Buffalo Bills money line, and they didn't come through. And I should have known better because everybody was telling me, man, JT, you crazy for betting against Mahomes. Now it's like, man, like, I'm one of those people that I don't bet on teams because of one player. Like, the same people who say, oh, well, you can't bet against Mahomes. He's going to make you pay every time. Were the same people who said that you shouldn't bet against Tom Brady in his final game against the Dallas Cowboys. The Bills were a better team than Kansas City on paper. At least you would have thought with how their offense looked. Kansas City is moving on to the AFC Championship. My thoughts on Kansas City, I really can't say anything about them that I haven't said already. You know, once again, Patrick Mahomes showed us all, Andy Reid showed us all, and Travis Kelce showed us all why they are the dynasty in waiting. Okay, I don't believe they're going to be the next New England Patriots dynasty, but they're going to have their own different kind of dynasty. They're not going to win a Super Bowl every single year, like back to back to back, but they're probably going to win at least 3 or 4 more Super Bowls in the next decade or so. This team just has that championship identity. They got the recipe for being able to get a big play when the game is in the balance. Their defense was on the field for damn near half of the fourth quarter, and they stood up, got Josh Allen and those boys off the field, got the field goal kicker on there, and you saw what happened. They just know how to win. They have that championship drive. The Bills don't have that. You had to drop by Stephon Diggs. I get it that Josh Allen threw the ball the freaking Saturn, but come on, Stephon. You're a top 3, top 5 receiver in the game. You got to catch that, man. Like, wasn't you crying after y'all lost to the Cincinnati Bengals the last year? Like, you would think that, you know, he would have the wherewithal to catch that. I can't believe that. And don't even get me started on the other third down drop that they had on 3rd and 12. Like, this team just completely unraveled in the fourth quarter. We talking about the collapse of the Philadelphia Eagles or the downfall of the Philadelphia Eagles. The downfall of the Buffalo Bills in this game must be studied. I mean, Sean McDermott calling that fake punt. And who did he run it with? Damar Hamlin? Buffalo deserved to lose this game. They deserve to lose this game. But at least we get to see Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson in the AFC Championship. Kansas City, I'm not going to overlook them against Baltimore, but I'm not about to pick against my dude, Lamar Jackson. Y'all know how I feel about LJ, the young legend out of Pompano. And I believe that he's the best quarterback in the National Football League, and he's going to have the opportunity to show everybody that next week. But I really wanted to see Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson in the AFC Championship, and I really wanted my 4-leg parlay to hit. But thanks to Buffalo, once again, choking in the postseason, none of those things happened. But Kansas City, shout out to them. This is, once again, a world-class organization. Patrick Mahomes, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. If he was to retire right now, you literally could make an argument about him being a top 5 QB ever. He may not have the stats and numbers, but just based on his level of dominance, he's going to what, his 6th straight AFC Championship? The last time I remember a quarterback doing that was Brady. I really don't have anything to say about Kansas City. I'll save my thoughts on Kansas City for later during this week, but this is really about the Buffalo Bills, man, because they had every chance to win this game. With how well they played up until the closing minutes of the fourth quarter, you really believed, if you was a Bills fan, that this was going to be the game you finally beat Mahomes and Kansas City when it mattered. You were playing them at home. You got the home field advantage. Just a giant letdown. if you're a fan of the Buffalo Bills. And one last time, if you're a Bills fan and you wake up tomorrow and you still decide that you want to remain faithful to rooting for this team, you have my respect, because this organization has done y'all so wrong. Like, they've really hurt y'all. Y'all went to 4 straight Super Bowls, didn't win a single one. How does that even happen? And then you keep going to the playoffs thinking that this is finally going to be the season that you break through and you get a Lombardi, and you just get it ripped from you because you can't beat Joe Burrow or you can't get past Patrick Mahomes. It's time to make a change. If I'm a Bills fan, I'm standing outside of the team's headquarters tomorrow morning with a big sign that says fire Sean McDermott, because he has to go. And I don't like calling for people's jobs, but it's pretty obvious he doesn't have what it takes to lead this team to a championship. He built this team up, and for some reason, he can't get this team anywhere further. And you know the old expression that goes, anytime you get out of a relationship, how a couple of months later, the person who you broke up with is in a relationship and they're doing better than what they was with you. It's kind of like you build the Buffalo Bills up, if you're Sean McDermott, for somebody else to come and win and do what you couldn't. It always gets me a little bit annoyed when people be like, John Gruden didn't win that Super Bowl with his team. He won it with Tony Dungy's team. So what? Who cares? Tony Dungy ain't win shit with it. John Gruden did. So if the Buffalo Bills fire Sean McDermott right now and they get Bill Belichick in there or Jim Harbaugh, I'm pretty confident they win it all next season. And I don't get why neither one of those coaches wouldn't take this job. It's already a championship-made roster. You don't have to do anything but coach it. Yes, the pressure is going to be really high because it's going to be Super Bowl or bust for you, but Bill Belichick and Jim Harbaugh are better coaches who are proven and know how to get a team to the championship. Sean McDermott doesn't know how to do that. This was a really sad game to watch if you're a Bills fan. And if you're a Kansas City fan, you're rejoicing right now because everybody counted you out. Everybody doubted you. They said your offense wasn't good enough. Patrick Mahomes was good, but the receivers around them weren't that great. But all of a sudden, they play the Buffalo Bills, and they just got all the pieces to the puzzle. So crazy. So crazy.